lay your face balls on the outstanding manly peak. This is a wonderful knife, just a really great utility blade that is fantastic in its function and its form. Actually, it's a really great design that works well. So because it's customary on the internet to do size comparisons, I guess I'll follow suit. Here you've got the Spyderco Manix 2. Here is the Buck Marksman. That's actually the SK Blades Inferno, which I have modified. So as you can see, this is not a small knife by any means. This here is the Spyderco Para 3 Lightweight. And I'll throw out another little guy. This is the Boker Kalashnikov Mini Auto. So now we'll get that out of the way. So what we're looking at here, guys, is just a really great user knife that has a 3.7 inch blade. You got a overall handle length of 4.96 inches and overall length of 8.66 inches. The handle is 0.43 inches thick, and you've got a full deep carry pocket clip. It is tip up right or left carry, and it is a mid backlock design. It's just under an inch tall in this dimension here. In the hand, it's just a really comfortable knife that you can really get a good grip on. Super secure in the hand, which we'll talk about, and yeah, is one of my favorite EDC carry knives. Yeah, one of the best ones I have in my collection for sure. So this particular example is in 12, I guess it's on the other side here, it's 12C27 steel. As far as markings on this guy, you've got the Manly logo right there, and then it also, you have the peak written right there on the lock bar release, and then you have got the Manly little 3-leaf logo there on the pocket clip. I do like the fact that it's really subtle on the pocket clip. Sometimes you get these pocket clips that, you know, have skulls on them and things like that. This one is really discreet in pocket, and because it is totally deep carry, yeah, this thing is super great in the pocket. When the knife is closed, it does have a little bit of the Spyderco profile. You do have not quite a Spidey hole because it's not perfectly round, which I'm guessing was intentional. So I guess you could call this one the Manly hole, but it does work extremely well. So this knife, for being a backlock, one-handed operation, is really great because it's a mid-back release there. It allows you to do the one-handed close, which is great. The way this knife was designed, the geometry on it, it does not allow the blade to go any further past that when you push the lock bar release all the way down, so it won't be a guillotine on your hands. So that part is really fantastic. You know, this, like I said, this knife is all about function, and it functions extremely well. So one of the things that I was going to do here is I'm going to disassemble this knife just to give you guys an idea of what this thing is. And the Manly knives are slightly different from most production knives today, since everybody else uses Torx screws. Manly knives use Allen heads, and so for this particular knife, the body screws and the clip screw are 1.5 millimeter Allen, and the pivot is a 2 millimeter. So let me back this out here. There we go. So I'll remove this scale here, and then you can see what we're dealing with. So we do have full stainless steel liners. They are weight relieved slightly. They are fully nested, except for this one area right here where you have a little bit of jimping, and I'll show you that. Pop this liner up. So This knife is riding on phosphor bronze washers, as you can see. And you can see the jimping here, which sticks out right here in this area of the scale. Excuse me. The jimping, when I first got this knife, it actually feels extremely sharp, but because it's very shallow, and when you put it in the liner, or when you put the liner in the scale, you can see that it just barely sticks out past the scale, and it provides just fantastic traction. So that part's extremely well done. They just did a really fantastic job there. But when you look at the rest of the liners, you know, it's not super well finished. I do carry this knife quite a bit, but this is pretty much the way they came. I really haven't done anything to them. And you can see, you know, these were just laser cut out of a sheet of stainless steel, and they just, you know, ran over it with a, you know, put it up against a belt sander or something just to knock the burrs off of it, and that's it. So really simple in its construction, but works extremely well. So you do have this full back spacer here. This bar right here is the lock bar spring, so you can see we can lift this blade off. And so you can see the way this knife is put together. It's very, very simple. You can pull the lock bar off the pivot and then pull the spring out, and this does have quite a bit of spring tension, although it's not uncomfortable. I've definitely had some backlock knives that had too much spring tension. This one here is really well done. So start going back together here, so you can see the way that the geometry works there, and so you can see that's why the blade won't you know, end up like a guillotine. So they've done that extremely well, and the action on this guy is really great actually for a backlock knife. This thing actually has a lot of fidget factor to it, which is not something that I would normally say about a backlock, but this guy is actually, I find myself kind of playing with this knife a lot more than I ever thought that I would. So one of the things that makes this knife really fantastic is the blade geometry. You could probably already tell that this knife has got a full flat grind, and the advertised behind the edge thickness on this knife is 10 thousandths. This particular example is not quite that good, but it is, I have measured it, and it averages right around 12 thousandths behind the edge, and it is just a phenomenal slicer for a production knife. If any of you have ever measured behind the edge thickness, you'll know that, you know, even a lot of people say that Spydercos are a really slicey knife, but you know, behind the edge, most Spydercos are 22 to 27 thousandths. This guy here is, like I said, on average about 12 thousandths behind the edge. It makes this knife just glide through anything, really. It's really fantastic. One of the other things I wanted to point out here is this pocket clip. I'm sure you guys have dealt with clips that you have to drop the screw in through the hole, and yeah, this is a nice design for a deep carry here. You can start the screw in the body and then slide this out underneath the screw. So just really, really good design there. Tighten that guy up real quick, and then we'll throw the pivot screw in. There we go. Let's see how this is. Oh, I already got it too tight. All right. So, centering on this knife is generally, it's off to the right side as I'm holding it here slightly, which is about where it's at right now. Let's see if we got any blade play. No, there's no blade play there. Maybe just see if we can go. Excellent. So, like I said, guys, this knife is just a really, really fantastic user. Let me go through here and just make sure my screws are all tightened up. And when you first get this knife, it seems a little bit sharp, the G10. Oh, I don't have that pocket clip in all the way. The G10's a little bit rough and a little bit sharp. It has the same type of texturing that you find on, like, say, your Spyderco Mannix. But it really, just a day or two in the pocket and the texturing gets worn down slightly, and then it's just super comfortable in hand. This knife, like I said before, with this jimping that sticks out from the liners there, it's just really fantastic. You got this really great thumb ramp up here. It just really fits well in the hand. No hot spots along the clip. Everything about this knife is meant for working. So yeah, you got this great manly hole for thumbing and fingering, I guess. So the one of the great things about this knife, which is going to be kind of hard to do on camera, but you can spidey flick and thumb flick and finger flick this knife, but you do have to put a lot of wrist in it. So I guess that's just what you get with a manly hole. So anyway, guys, this is the Manly Peak, and oh, I forgot to talk about price. They do offer this in a bunch of different steels. You can get it in, like I said, this one's in 12C27, and they also offer this in D2 as well as S90V. Prices range, I think, from about $50, $52 up to right at $100, I think, for the S90V model. That does come also in many different colors. They have a camo version, and you can do all black, or I think they call this one toxic green. They have red and several different colors. So these do also go on sale from time to time. If you check out Manly USA, you can see what they have to offer. They do have a few different knife models. Manly doesn't have a bunch to choose from, but they do have a few. So anyway, that's my take on the Manly Peak, and definitely thumbs up. It's a great knife. Thanks, and have a great day.